Hello, friends and comrades. We have a really special treat for you today. We've organized a large brigade. We've crossed the Brandywine. We've come up Monkey Hill, and we're bringing you a show here from Jessica Scarane headquarters. It's a campaign launch, and we're going to beat Chris Coons. We've tried to tell you that we're going to fight every battle. We're going to fight everywhere, and we're going to start making a difference. We have about 24 people here already here in the mid-afternoon. We're going to talk to the candidate. We're going to talk to some of the volunteers here. We're going to talk about our platform, and we're going to give you some information to get involved. So we're going to walk around, see who we can pull in, and see if we can have a good time. All right, fellas, left is best. We're back, friends. We have commandeered the Jess for Delaware field director.
Hi.
Jamie RUBIN.
Hi again.
What you don't know is that Jamie has been working behind the scenes in sort of a CIA-esque type role for many years. And now, CIA-esque.
What the fuck?
Okay, so I'll tell you what. Here, I'll say it right first.
Yeah.
You know
I
what?
keep it.
Here's my problem. Every time I make a mistake, Carl keeps it in. Every time somebody else makes a mistake,
You can't see Carl's mistakes. He's probably fucking up constantly. You don't know what he's doing on the laptop. You don't know like how the audio levels are. It's incredible. It's incredible how unfair they are to you. And I'm here to defend you.
I feel like my audio is too tinny.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe it's Carl's fault.
Terrible.
So
about that campaign.
Yes, the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I see you in the other room here at the HQ, coordinating. You're dictating.
Yeah.
You're running around in circles behind a lot of volunteers.
That's like I'm not doing anything at all.
You actually are doing something,
Okay.
and you're going to explain to everybody exactly what you're doing right now and how what we're doing for this kickoff today, and what you've been doing for the last 12 hours or so.
Yeah. So Jess launched her campaign today out of her house. It was a digital launch, meaning it was focused almost entirely on voter contact and volunteer contact from people that served on previous campaigns. Is we want to activate them day one, and we want to keep them going until for the next 10 months because that's how we win. And we got these people through hard work last time, and we want to keep them engaged and win this. And I'm pretty sure we will.
Yeah, I mean, you've talked about some of the canvassing and some of the text campaigns you already have going, and just right out of the blocks, it's like you're off.
Yeah.
How many texts do you plan on sending today, and make phone calls? Like, what's the number you're hitting?
So about like 12,000 texts and phone calls. Off the top of my head, a lot.
An awful lot. The other thing I want you to give us some information on is the Act Blue, because as we know, Coons is corporately funded.
Yeah.
He's going to bring a war chest.
Don't forget the companies that profit off the ICE concentration camps because they love Chris Coons.
Yeah, well,
he's taking like $180,000 from them.
Yeah, he's taking money from them. He's taking money from Big Pharma, who
Not
is
cool,
running up our healthcare costs.
You know what's funny? I've never taken any money from companies that fund concentration camps or make money off of them. I am not funded by concentration camps. Certain senators can't say the same, which is interesting.
Yeah, the Just for Delaware campaign will not be funded by concentration camps.
Yep.
She won't be funded by oil or fossil fuel industry. She won't be funded by pharmaceutical companies. She won't be funded by any like the venture capitalist firms. She's going to be funded completely grassroots on like the Bernie program. So all small donations are greatly appreciated. There is an Act Blue up. What's the particular Act Blue?
So the easiest way to get to it would be justfordelaware.com and press the big red donate button, or go to I'm looking at my phone for the link. It's secure.actblue.com/donate/Jess something. I would just go to justfordelaware.com, press the red button.
Jess, 2 S's, for Delaware.com. press the red button and give something that has 2 zeros in it. 100, 200.
Maybe it's a white button.
Okay.
Maybe it's a white button. On my phone, it's a white button now.
If
It says the word donate.
if you're using Jamie's phone, which I don't know why you would be, but it could be a white button. Hit the button that says donate, and give us $300-400.
Yeah.
That each person.
What I've noticed is these campaigns run best when the numbers are funny. So we take $420, $69, $420.69, but we want those donations so we can put it into this grassroots campaign and really do something for the working class in Delaware. And that's electing Jessica Scarane on September 15th, 2020.
Absolutely. So everybody, Jess for Delaware, 2 S's. It's on Twitter, Jess for Delaware. Got the Act Blue. Just start talking it up. There's obviously a way to contact the campaign too. If you want to come out and knock doors, if you want to come out and make calls, if you want to help out, look, it's grassroots. You know the program, you know what we're doing. There's a lot of energy here, and a lot of it has to do with what Jamie's doing right now.
Probably.
Nice.
Probably has to do with me. I don't know. But please come knock doors this every weekend, every day. It's a state, so just knock doors, tell people. We've got a lot of work to do, but I'm confident we can do it because we've got easily the best team in Delaware. But it's a low bar, but still, we've got the best team in Delaware.
Nice. Folks, we're going to pull some more people in. The excitement's going to build. We're doing it. We're doing it. Friends and comrades, I'm very happy to introduce to you another hero, warrior of north of the Brandywine, Jessica Scarane. I'm happy to have you here and let me set up here.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me in my campaign HQ.
Yeah, so you're doing it. You're going head to head with our sworn enemy, Chris Coons. How do you feel? First day kickoff. How do you feel?
Feels awesome. The energy in this house has been pretty great. It's a house, the HQ, by the way.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter.
We've had an amazing team of volunteers here helping us out. We've been making phone calls and texts and hearing from people all day. So I've been amp on all this energy that's coming through the house today.
Nice. Yeah, I was pretty amped this morning myself, knowing I was coming to come over here and do this.
Yeah.
So you haven't run for anything before, and you made this decision to do this, which I dig it. So walk us through sort of what your mindset was and what was your motivation to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the work that I do within Wilmington and the state of Delaware, from a volunteer perspective, I have become the board president of Girls Inc. of Delaware. And part of that role has been to fundraise, to support the programming that we put forth for girls who are in under-resourced communities throughout our state. And another part is to advocate for their rights and ensure that our state is passing laws to protect those rights. So that is really one of the ways where I've gotten really closer to politics and government, is through that work. I really saw the way that government can harm a few years ago when our state tried to balance its budget on the backs of some of the most vulnerable people in Delaware by cutting funding to public education, nonprofits, and social services that people rely on. And I saw that meant what we did have was already so fragile, and that you have to keep fighting every day to make sure that what you have stays there and that we can get more. So it's made me recognize that there's a broken system here, and it's keeping people in power. It's protecting the few people who are wealthy and already powerful and abusing so many other people. And I want to work to break that down. And I think Delaware especially needs a senator who's going to work against that, who's going to try to take corporate power away and return that power to people.
Yeah, no, you're speaking our language. That's exactly what we preach all the time. That austerity and making tweaks and making cuts and making deals within the system almost always hurts the most vulnerable people.
Yeah.
Almost always ensures that powerful people stay in power and they keep what they have and are able to accumulate more just on the back of tweaks and technocratic stuff.
Yeah, and that makes people feel disillusioned and disengaged. If you start talking technocratic language and talking about tax credits and the cutoffs for receiving things, people just tune out. They don't understand that. They are being systemically kept out of the process by things like that. And Senator Coons just co-sponsored a bill that would do exactly what you're talking about. That would basically create automatic austerity if a proposal was not meeting the kind of spending thresholds that were set. So he is already pushing these policies and doing harm to Delawareans.
Yeah, how do you think, we have a very unique sort of situation here because of the size of the state and the way that things operate. So there are, quote unquote, Democrats here. There are even liberals or people who think they're progressive here who are really maybe not as open to this argument that actually Chris Coons is bad for you.
Yeah.
You know him because it's a small state and he'll come to your event and shake your hand. But really, when it comes down to it, he ensures that Trump's judges are confirmed. He ensured that Pompeo was confirmed by changing his vote to president. And he's spoken out many times, and we've covered it on the podcast, and just said things that really don't seem to me to jive with the feeling of the party, the groundswell of grassroots support, and for systemic change and knock down some of these obstacles where, Coons is somebody, in my opinion, who is there to man those obstacles and keep those obstacles there to keep everything working just like this.
Right.
But I mean, you're going to come across people who really don't understand that systemic part of it.
Yeah.
How have you felt like you're going to be able to articulate that systemic obstacle part of it for folks who just think Coons is a liberal and it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I think part of the reason that people feel that way is because we have been so hesitant to have primaries in our state. We have sat back and let people kind of sit in positions until they decide to retire or decide to seek another role. And what that does is it makes people just accept the choice that they're given rather than recognize that they can have more choice. And by not running people in primaries, we haven't given people that choice. So I think that's one step that's really important, just to continue asking questions in primaries, holding people accountable. I think that you talked about how people really like that Delaware is small and they can meet their politicians. But I think that's good in some ways, but I think it makes people stop at, well, they seem like a good neighbor, and it doesn't drive them to look into, well, what are they actually doing? Because they seem kind to them. But what I think that we can do is by actually also meeting all of the people in Delaware that we're going to knock on doors and meet and actually talk to, that we can also establish that rapport and have an opportunity to say to them, like, I'm also a good neighbor, and here's the actions that I will actually take to back that up. And I think when I do call out to people the actions that Chris Coons is taking that don't back up him calling himself a progressive Democrat, they start to question it, and they start to say things like, oh, he's a Democrat? Like, why is he doing those things? So I think every opportunity that we have to knock on a door and talk about those things is going to put us in a better position to both increase the way that people feel good about me being a good neighbor and also kind of hit at some of the misconceptions that they have about what he's doing in Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a few minutes while we have it just to go through like the litany, because if you look bullet point by bullet point, you can draw a pretty stark contrast. Medicare for all, you're a
pro.
Green New Deal, you're a
pro.
Education stuff. I know.
Yeah, that's really important to me.
Minimum wage, at least $15 an hour.
At least, gotta get that up.
Yeah,
that's something that Chris Coons says is too high.
Yes.
Yes.
So again, there is a hunger for this kind of program. We see it at the very local level with some of the state reps who are challenging. We see it at the highest level with Bernie challenging. And so people sort of understand that there is a program that we can look to push across all the political spectrum. And I think it's super important.
Yeah.
So what else are some of your priorities? How are you drawing sort of a contrast between you and Senator Coons, and what are you going to be talking about at the doors when you get the opportunity?
At the highest level, the contrast is that I'm putting forth a platform that focuses on putting people over profits so that we can actually build a country that works for all of us. So that's what I'm trying to do with the core. And the way that I think we get there is through equitable education. So actually delivering on the promise of free public education that we have undercut by defunding it over the course of years. So that to me means ensuring that education, public education, is free and universal from childcare and pre-K years all the way through higher education. We know that a high school diploma is not the same as what it was a generation ago, and a lot of people need more education to get a job and be successful. So we know that we already provide a high school education for free. We need to also be providing a college education for free. I also believe in investing in our schools so that they become the centers of strength in neighborhoods, so that we get back to having community schools. I know that's a problem here in Wilmington, where if there's a school in my neighborhood that very few kids around my neighborhood go to, and that the system of our public education here has been broken by defunding and by the segregation that has happened in our schools and continues to happen in our schools. So these are all things that we need to work on fixing. I also believe that housing is a right. There is no excuse in a country as wealthy as ours to have anyone who's homeless. We can completely eradicate that problem. We need to ensure that everyone has a safe and affordable home. I believe in, again, Medicare for all, universal health care. That to me is, the Sanders plan. It's no premiums, no copays, no deductibles. You go to the doctor and it's free at the point of service. And we get the profit motive out of healthcare. Healthcare is not a place for profits. It's a right that people deserve.
That's great. I think, and we've talked about this in the show, and you and I have talked about it. When you support universal programs, it actually is easier because you don't have to explain to people, you can do this or you can do that, and then it's means tested in this way, and you may qualify, or you may qualify, as you said, for a tax credit that you can use depending on where you fall. You don't have to explain any of that.
Yeah.
These are universal things that people as citizens should have.
Absolutely.
Because of the wealth and
right.
what this country is.
Yeah, I believe we deserve it. I believe that we should ask more of our government.
Yeah.
And I think that we should ask them to be accountable to the tax dollars that we give them. And I don't think we have been. I think that we've sat back and allowed our military budget to explode and everything else to suffer as a result. And I think that it's time that we started to look at, what are we actually doing for our people, and how are we ensuring that they have a dignified standard of living?
Yeah. So you mentioned the military budget. Mm-hmm. The one thing you push back everybody always gets is the trope, how you're going to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So
we already have the money.
Yes, exactly. And how do we get? And that's exactly right. I think what people don't understand is the money is actually there.
Yeah.
We just, obviously there are. I like the wealth tax idea. I like Bernie's idea about taxing high velocity trades on Wall Street. All of the things that the additional funding and tapping big business, tapping huge oligarchs and inherited wealth. The money is there.
Yeah.
We just have to make an idea, we don't need to cut things on the back of people. We give them universal things.
Exactly. And I think one point that we often overlook is that we're already paying for all of these things. Everyone is already paying for healthcare, but they are paying it to a private company who bakes in a profit margin, who bakes in huge bonuses and huge salaries, who bakes in decisions about actually rationing their care. And so we have no problem when an insurance company actually comes between you and your doctor. So these things are already happening, but we don't question giving a private company profits. Yet we for some reason react negatively when we say that the money's going to go to the government, not take a profit out of it, and actually deliver services back to us.
Yeah, there was a story just yesterday, the front page of the New York Times, which, again, I looked at. Let's just be honest. With the new tax scheme, FedEx was able to pay zero in taxes, and there are There's just another one of the litany of huge corporations making profit doing business and paying nothing back. So
and they're using our roads, they're using our airports, they're using our resources, these publicly funded things.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Well, I'm going to let you go because it's starting to pick up in here. I congratulate you on this launch.
Thank you.
You have this. You have a legion of us behind you. We are not going to leave you. We're not going to leave. We're going to do
that.
this.
It's going to take a lot of people.
I'm just absolutely buzzing in here.
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Me too.
So Jess, thanks a lot. We'll talk again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look at like that's the like principle of like dedicating a lot of time to one-on-ones. Like they take a long time when you're sitting down with someone for an hour or whatever, but like that's, and also like you might have a success rate of, I don't know, maybe 10% of the people you sit down with are going to be like super committed and gung-ho about it. But still, if you sit down with like 100 people and you find 10 organizers, like even though it's a lot of time, I mean, think of what 10 dedicated organizers can do in a state like Delaware. You know, it is a total game changer. You can run a statewide campaign with 10 organizers.
So sitting down here with me is friend of show, warrior, KIRSTEN WALTHER, who is also, just happens to be running a campaign to retire Chris Coons. How about that?
Helping to run.
Okay, we'll say being
Many hands involved.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you're coordinating the hands. You're thinking about what the hands should be doing.
I'm trying my best. Yeah.
Yeah. This is exciting.
It's really exciting. I have been a pretty vocal opponent of Chris Coons for many years. Pretty much everything he stands for, his political philosophy, his voting history. But like frankly, before the 2018 election, I really didn't envision something like this as possible in Delaware. Like as much as I wanted to think that there was like a real appetite for this kind of platform, like I didn't really see it. I wasn't in circles of people who were like talking about it. But yeah, 2018 was obviously like a lot of us were involved in the Kerry campaign, and I would say the vast majority of us had never worked on a campaign before. We were put into leadership positions where like we kind of were just trying to figure it out as we went because we had never done it before. Like I went from never having even knocked a door to like being a volunteer coordinator for a U.S. Senate campaign, which is wild. You know, it's probably not best practice for like, you know, other campaigns, but like we kind of just, we really believed in the mission and we believed in building progressive power throughout the state and building working class power. So we thought, you know, what the hell, give it a shot.
Yeah, that's it. I was just talking in there to also friend of show, Erica Gutierrez.
Yes.
And we were just talking about how like people are most effective organizers when they gravitate towards something that they sort of like to do or like they're good at or like they have some sort of affinity to it. Mm-hmm. And so, we were just talking about how to place people to do things that you do the thing that you do, and you sort of got into that. And by the end, I mean, every day I was in that office, you were hard at work. You had maps out. It was incredible. Yeah. And everybody was just so inspired. And this has already sort of like brought a lot of people together in here today.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to get pretty buzzed.
And a lot of the people who were like in leadership roles on this campaign were also first timers during Kerry's campaign. And like all of the tech infrastructure and the people power and like the general resources were, a lot of them were built during that time. You know, we were being trained up and we were connecting with new people and we were learning from our mistakes and everything. And we kind of, because of the campaign and the spirit of the campaign and just like the, you know, how it is with running this campaign that's not really expected to do anything, like we were given leeway to make mistakes and to try new things. And so like also huge credit to like the leadership team with that U.S. Senate race because like it was a priority for them to be like training us up and making sure that we were having a good experience. And like I'm always going to be super grateful for that. And I really hope that's what this campaign can be for other people. Like my probably number one goal would be training new field organizers. Like I think that would be a great metric of success to see if we had like a large group of semi-autonomous field organizers who were able to do outreach and training and, you know,
just grow like a really solid distributed field operation, because that's why we're doing this. It's not just about obviously winning is important because you need to pick up seats to be able to wield your political power to like pass an agenda. But we are really committed to building power through this campaign as part of like the larger movement in Delaware. And I feel really excited about like our potential to do that because just we've come so far in the past couple years, and a lot of us really were starting at zero. And I can't imagine how much more we're going to learn. I can't imagine how many more people we're going to meet, how many more connections we're going to make with national folks and everything. And just like getting to share with more voters, like we make the affirmative case for policies like single payer and, you know, talking about what a federal jobs guarantee would look like, talking about, you know, why decriminalizing sex work would make people safer. All of these things that like, I think you can talk through with people who might not necessarily support it first, but like you can make a good case for. And that's really important because like at the end of the day, we don't have the numbers for some of these policies. We do for like, you know, Medicare for All has very high approval ratings. Like, yes, I think, you know, the political will is there for that. Some of the other things though, you know, maybe we need to keep pushing, but I think like, because ultimately what we're fighting for is like, for like justice and equity for the majority, you know, like bringing justice and equity to like,
Yeah, I think the
working class who like are going to benefit from these policies. So basically like, we just have to.
More celebrities just walked in. Friend of show and friend of show. No, go ahead.
So Kristen, Jamie, I think is doling out assignments.
We can wrap up. All I was going to say that was
they
beautifully
got really off the rails at the end.
Yeah, no, it didn't. It's beautifully put because I think, I mean, and you already see it in a short period of time. There's insurgent campaigns around the state for the House
and like
at state
look at
seats,
just like
and you just and when you spread that out and you're able to activate and organize in those pockets.
Like look at the reverberations just of the Bernie 2016 campaign. Someone like Medina talks about like how Bernie's campaign was inspiring, and like look at how many people like AOC says that was, you know, a large part of like her
spoke to Alex
around.
Rojas a couple weeks ago, and she said the same thing. She was inspired by Bernie, and then she was part of the group that inspired all of us.
Yeah, and there's just it's so exciting to think about, like when you run these campaigns, like there are going to be reverberations beyond just like the ballot box that one particular day. And I think people were inspired by Carrie. I hope we can run a campaign that inspires people. And yeah, I cannot wait to hear the death knell of the Delaware way.
Oh, I'll tell you, I've been at some big like results parties, and none of them have been great so far. But I just have a sneaky suspicion. Oh boy!
I mean, you lose a lot more than you win, but like
that's what we say. It would
you
take
win
a lot
some
of
them. Eventually, you do win some of them.
Yep, and that's the only way. You're, like you said, the only way you're going to build grassroots support. You know, the what happened to labor unions is not going to repair itself in like an election cycle. Mm-hmm. It's going to take grassroots everywhere to do with electoral politics and everything. Yeah. So you just have to look at it that way. Yeah. It's a movement, and you just got to keep getting victories where you can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got a text from a friend today telling me that one of her friends had reached out and said that like two people who aren't engaged in politics at all had texted this friend of a friend saying, "Oh, hey, like this campaign reached out to me today. That's really cool." And like, that's super dope that like we were able from last year to build the infrastructure to be able to reach people who like don't ever get spoken to about politics and to get them excited. And
and establishment people don't care about this. And that's why
Right.
that's why
Well,
actually
I mean, they will explicitly say that it's impossible to build capacity in Delaware, so it's not worth actually reaching out to volunteers. To which I say,
I see a lot of
okay, but, like,
campaign.
you know,
I see campaign attached people walking around here. You say that and snickering. So I feel like this is something that's said all the
The
time.
thing is, like, I, as the volunteer of a coordinator of a campaign, like, I know that's wrong because I know how many, like, people in the hundreds reached out. You know, there's probably 250, 300 people who had never volunteered before who had reached out to us. And yeah, of course, you're not going to have like 100% retention rate with people, but that's to be expected. And that's how it is anywhere. Like, you identify people who are really excited. You give them leadership tasks to, you know, kind of prove that they're committed, to show that they can do good work, and you keep training them up. And that's exactly why we have people now who had never volunteered before, who can, you know, do vote builder modeling, or who can run a texting program, or who can, you know, do volunteer coordination, because we found people who are excited about the candidate, about the platform, about, I don't know, could be their friend joining. And we really try to nurture the relationship. A lot of it's just being a nice person and like making connections with people based on shared values. And if you don't know something, saying, hey, you know, I will try to help you figure that out, and I will try to get you the resources you need. Just doing there's no shortcut for just working together with people and building relationships and helping each other. And I think, like, essentially, like, that's just how it's got to be.
Yeah, normally I would say, you know, stop giving the game away or telling everybody what we're doing, but it's not a secret.
Well, it's just hard work.
It's just hard work,
Like,
and we're going to keep doing it. Everybody's jazzed up.
I
know
hope so.
I'm going to let you go.
okay, yeah.
I will tell you this because I know you got to believe me. I saw earlier we were out here. I think when we were talking to Jamie and
Yes.
Joanna was like taking a nap on the corner of that sofa.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, things are happening at
are.
breakneck speed.
Everything happens so much, as they say.
Also, I'm the oldest person in this house of, like, there's probably 30 people in this house now.
Yeah.
And I just saw a TikTok video produced in the kitchen.
Yes.
So I'm going to tell you, I'm on the
I'm
cutting
like
edge
too
right
old
now.
to use TikTok, I think, as well.
Well, that's why I laughed when I saw Margaret in
I'm
it,
obviously much younger than you,
because
but-
Margaret said she was too old to be in it, which made me laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So Kobe just
Yeah.
walked in. He just said it's already on the street. It's already on the internet. It's burning up the tracks. All right.
You can cut that part out of my interview. I don't need that in there.
All right. Thank you, Kirsten. We're going to keep
You're
pushing.
welcome.
All the links are going to be on there. We're going to try to
Yes.
find maybe one more person or cut it close. But
Yes. And also, just as a call to donate, we are not going to be putting this money towards, you know, television ads or tons of glossy mailers. We're going to be paying people to be knocking doors and, you know, doing work with voter outreach. And we're not going to have anything close to the money that Senator Coons has. However, we do have people who are willing to organize, and we have people who are really invested in, like, building long-term here. So please, your dollar will go so much further giving to a campaign like this than, you know, his dollars are going to go. We greatly appreciate donations, and we'll make great use of the money.
yeah, it's you can see it here tonight. There's going to be an army of organizers and volunteers that just share values that are about Medicare for all, making sure people have health care, fair housing, making sure people aren't homeless, Green New Deal to make sure the planet doesn't burn and people have a jobs guarantee, and so that we can move along in a proper social fashion. These people all believe it, and we're going to find more people to believe it because they're out there. And so, you know, please consider donating, consider hitting up the website and volunteer, make phone calls, knock doors, because that's how this is going to go. You know, you're not going to hear a bunch of dumb stuff on television. We're going to be out speaking to people
Yeah.
and bringing them in, training people up, and it's a whole movement. So get on board now.
Yes.
Let's see who else we can rope in. Thank you, Kirsten.
I never had the chance to like introduce my name like how they do it in Inglourious Bastards, like Antonio Margaretti.
We'll do it. Daniel, give us
Daniel
your
CARAPEZZI.
CARAPEZZI. Because when you have and it's good to have the multiple syllables. You got to have the multiple syllables.
Yeah. It's not a real Italian name unless it has the multiple syllables.
Yeah. So we've pulled in Dan. I guess you've heard all of that introduction. That's all.
I'll cut some of it.
CARAPEZZI, yeah, not the full thing.
Antonio Margaretti.
Roberto Vanella. Okay, we're going to stop. So Dan is here making calls tonight. He is an all-around political aficionado. Is the word we'll use.
Politics doer.
There you go. So what brought you out tonight, especially?
Jamie drugged me here in chains, and I really had no option. No, Jamie did kind of get me involved with this campaign pretty early on, but I met him through organizing for Bernie Sanders, which I've done since coming to this state. And so I thought, her, along with a lot of other really good progressive candidates that have been popping up in Delaware, I thought, there's some purpose here. I enjoy doing this, and this race especially feels like a really exciting one, taking on Chris Coons. And
yeah, we had tons.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an exciting day. In and out, people were. I saw, like I said, I told somebody else, I saw TikTok being produced. Never thought I would see something like that.
Yeah.
Molly's raising the roof over down the sofa. Woo!
this campaign's already incredibly online.
So you were online today doing social media stuff. Did you do calls today too?
Yeah, I did some calling, did some texting.
Nice. What'd you hear on the phone? Anything interesting? Good stories.
Yeah, nothing too interesting so far. Everything's been pretty straightforward. Got a couple texts here and there of people that are like, "Oh, fuck you, socialists," and
Good.
I guess that's to
good.
be expected. But
That's
actually,
good. Yes, we
all the
want that.
calls I've had today have been pretty smooth.
Very good. Very good. Well, this is going to be a long slog, but
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited. Now, are you you a student as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're part of the Carl contingent.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you saw that Medina just endorsed our friend Jess this afternoon. That's exciting.
Absolutely.
Carl, I'm sure. Is this the first time you're hearing of this? Were you aware of this?
What?
He's not paying attention. But we're all starting to go a little crazy here, as a
I've
matter
been
of
here
fact.
for over 8 hours.
Yeah, I saw.
We have Scarane brain.
Yeah, we have Scarane brain. I did see a few people just sit on a couch with 3 other people, but take a nap somehow sitting up. That was fun. I saw Kobe stand on a folding chair, which I definitely felt was not the greatest idea I've ever seen.
It's brave.
A lot of stuff has happened today. Is Jamie still pulling it? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he's still pulling the strings over there.
Yeah, we're dying. Well, I mean, it was a hell of a first day. I think there's a lot of excitement for stuff like this. I think it's going to build over time. I'm really happy that stuff is like sort of started out so early and so strong, because there's a lot of time now to to push forward with it and to do the real kind of organizing. Going door to door, guys cutting turf, banging on doors. I love it.
Yeah, doing the hard work.
Yeah. So what other? So you've worked for Bernie and for Jess. Have you been involved in any other sort of campaign stuff or organizing or political stuff around here?
Yeah, the first person that I got involved with doing some volunteering for besides Bernie was Eric Morrison, because I actually met him at the organizing party that I went to for Bernie when they did the kickoff, and I learned about him, and he told us about his campaign and everything that he was doing there. And then from there, getting involved with the DSA on campus kind of led me to the other campaigns like Medina's. I haven't done anything for them yet, but Stephanie Berry's, Jamie's told me about Larry Lambert, who I got out for once.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, all friends of show. I mean, we were talking earlier with Kirsten and just how important it's going to be, because everybody's sort of on the same page, so you're organizing sort of everywhere.
Yeah.
In Christiana, in Claymont, in Newark, here right in Wilmington, in Kent. So it's it really helps push the message because it's a consistent message. It's a universal message. So when you knock on a door, you can pretty much say the same thing.
Yeah.
You're saying, oh, and by the way, there's a national candidate here, or there's a candidate for city council as well. And it helps because it's a consistent, universal message.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think it's one of the really cool things about all the different races at different levels going on here in Delaware, including Jess's now, is that everybody really has the same platform. It makes it really easy to canvass voters because you don't have to change what you say at all. And even actually something I noticed today, amidst all the excitement in the replies to Jess, was this is sticking true nationwide too. We got a lot of voters that are like, oh well, I'm Bernie gang, and we got to support each other. And a lot of people that are like, oh, Green New Deal, Medicare for all, I'm in. So locally and nationally, there's definitely this sort of unified message coalescing, and it's powerful.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when you're able to tell somebody, because I was online today too, talking to some folks, getting the word out, and one of the people in the group was like, "Yeah, this is great because we don't like Coons. It's an obstacle to change, but like what, hadn't seen any of the literature or anything. Just was like, okay, well, what's happening with this candidate? What is this candidate about?" And all you have to say is it's the Bernie program.
Yeah.
It's solidarity with people who think healthcare is a human right as a human being, who think housing is, who think we have to do something about a Green New Deal and a jobs plan. We need, universal pre-K all the way through college in some fashion. We have to start offering that. And when you can spread that message so easily and just say, this is the way we have to go, it sells itself. You don't have to sell it, sells itself.
Yeah.
We're still going to sell it, though.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, it's a very, it really sticks with people because people, especially the more that they've struggled in their lives or they're struggling now, like they know what this platform would do for them. They know how important it is to them because they've had so many bad experiences in the healthcare industry or just with education and everything. And I think it just further goes to show how desperately we need to make these basic changes because the majority of people in this state especially are just very much in need of them.
Yeah, and that's the people in power are interested in sort of technocratic things that make no meaningful material impact really to anything. You give a little here, you take a little there.
Yeah.
You take your money on the side and everything just keeps going on. That's untenable. I think everybody appreciates that, especially younger people appreciate that. And so it's great to go out with a message like that says, not only is this our program, but for people who are skeptical or cynical or have been disenfranchised, this program understands that and it says, yes, the reason you feel that way is not your fault.
Yeah.
The system is developed to make you feel that way, and we can change that if you want to get involved and you want to organize and you want to do this.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when someone tells you that Democrats suck and you're just like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's actually makes it it's an interesting way to be able to talk to people because you're like, well, I don't vote because of this. Yeah, right. I know, I completely agree with you. This is why we're not doing it like that. Like everything that you don't like, we appreciate that. We're trying to address that. What do you think? What are your things? And you can start a discussion that way and really engage people who never even thought about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, it's a way to bring people back into the process or just bring them into the process that never felt really compelled by it in the first place. And it really does make an impact. I've had conversations with some voters for Bernie where they were saying how they just don't like anything that's going on in the country right now, and just going into it a little bit, you can really find some connections, and everything that they say tends to be very valid because there is a lot of just nothing going on, nothing getting done, and it's valid for people to feel that way. It's valid for people to feel left out and pushed out of this process, and bringing those people back in and giving them something that they really believe in, especially after not wanting to participate for so long, is one of the probably best things about campaigns like these.
Yeah, I think what people don't really get, and it's exactly what you're describing. The reason that it's gotten so bad, or you feel like things are just grinding to a halt, it's a circus. National politics is a circus. State politics, barely anything gets done, and people see that. But that's a long time coming. It didn't just happen.
Yeah.
You know, that's 45 years in the making.
Yeah, it's been people's whole lives.
Yeah, and so when people say, well, this is what they're feeling is true. And so it's not just, you know, Donald Trump. It's everything. It's Chris Coons, it's Mike Przicki, it's Joe Biden, it's everybody. All that all has to be changed. You know, we have to do. It's a whole new way of doing things, and it's understanding we have to do it all together, organize people, and that's it. And it's going to be a long slog. A lot of it's not even, you know, electoral related.
Yeah.
But like you said, whether you're talking about issues, whether you're knocking doors for local candidates, national candidates, the fact of the matter is it's a similar program, and we're all sort of in it like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great point, and it's another way it's really good, really important, really like just necessary that all these campaigns at these different levels are so connected. We have Kobe and Shanae running locally for Wilmington City Council, and then we have Steph and Larry and Medina and Eric running for state rep, and then Jess running for Senate. It's again on that same platform, you know, especially if, God forbid, Bernie loses. You know, now we have a shot to actually still fight for these things, even if it's just in Delaware.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you know, you're gonna take L's in the kind of work that we're doing and the kind of things that we're talking about, but it's just momentum forward. You know, you win 2 here, you win 3 the next time, you win 2. I mean, everybody here has been inspired by other local stuff that we've done, and so you have to look at that. The Eugene Young campaign, which Jess worked on, that happened here. Carrie's campaign. I mean, most of the big folks here now that are running this were trained up on Carrie's campaign. You know, worked with Working Families Party. Shout out to Vanessa Clifford. Worked with Justice Democrats. Shout out to Alex Rojas. Also friends of show. Yeah, that's how it's spreading. You know, it's not just this campaign or this thing. It's all sort of a unified thing. That's why solidarity is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you definitely run into the Delaware way when you go out and do these things, and it can get very frustrating. But, you know, even just knowing that even on such a sort of constrained campaign that the Carrie campaign was able to pull off like 35% of the vote, it shows that there is a very solid, significant progressive base here in Delaware that is looking for change and is looking to work to make that change.
Yeah, we're never going to stop, folks. So I'm losing my voice. Everybody's starting to get worn down. Molly's actually starting to make calls now, just now. She's going back in. She's getting back into it. Folks, go to her website. It's Jess for Delaware, 2 S's, spell out the 4.com, Jess for Delaware. Hit the donate button. Take a look at the website. You're going to see that all of the really important socialist leftist movements, she's got that program. It's for everybody. And so I hope you guys consider donating, considering volunteering the campaign. Once again, we're coming to you from a location north of Brandywine River. I'm going to have to go back down Monkey Hill. That's going to be fun. But we'll enjoy it. We'll have something for you. Hopefully this will be out tomorrow, Tuesday. Get everybody fired up. And we'll have another great episode out for you Friday as well. Consider a patronage. But before you consider a patronage, give to the campaign. All right. Take it easy, everybody. Left is best.